have been greeted with alarm and disdain. When we invented the wheel, what happened was people would say we would forget how to walk. And when we invented the internet now, people claim that we'd forget how to think. Johannes Gutenberg, the inventor of the printing press, regarded as one of the most influential inventions of the second millennium, also caused great dispute. As Gutenberg's press spread throughout Europe, the Bible was translated into various local languages, enabling direct encounters with the text. This was accompanied by a flood of contemporary literature, most of it being mediocre. Most promptly disagreed with the premise that browsing and surfing through websites is lowering our ability to concentrate. Some said that Google makes us more informed and creative. Others said that sites like Google makes us intellectually lazy. Despite the fact that the World Wide Web has been around for just 20 years, it is hard to imagine an existence without it. The internet has given us instant access to numerous amounts of information, and we're able to stay with friends and colleagues and contact them more continuously. But our dependence and reliance on the internet has a dark side. A growing body of scientific evidence suggests that the net, with its constant distractions and interruptions, is turning us into scattered and superficial thinkers. There have been many arguments against the implication of new media on our cognitive learning. However, there has been research or uproar of evidence stating that the new form of social media has been making us smarter. In the following, we will present the ongoing implications the internet has on our cognitive state.
We strongly believe that the internet can make us smarter human beings, as the advancement of technology is developing so quickly and giving us access to so much information that we are able to provide our brains with more information at a smaller reach. Humans need resources to learn new things, so if there isn't a single media outlet that serves a cognitive effect on us for some learning task, then it must be some other element that is instrumental in learning gains. This does not mean that these teaching tools have negative outcomes. Let me start by describing an instructional method of learning. It is any way to shape information that activates cognitive processes that are necessary for gaining achievement and motivation. For example, when students are learning new material, they most often need an example to connect and understand it with information from their prior experiences. What instructional technology does for the students is specify the need and type of instructional method required to understand the new information, as well as support students as they continue to learn. With the use of the internet, students are provided with many sources, so if they are not understanding a particular explanation, they can move on to the next until they find the information that suits their needs. To add, further research suggests that media research has produced positive learning benefits when it comes to conducting research using various media outlets, particularly computers. These analyses report an approximate 20% increase in final exam scores using computer-based instruction compared to traditional oral form of instruction. Other aspects that suggest that internet has a positive outcome on society's learning include an online survey done by 895 stakeholders and critics, expectations of social, political, and economic change by 2020, fielded by the Pew Research Center's Internet and American Life project. In their survey, they were asked if they thought Google would make us stupid. 76% of these experts agreed with the following statement, that by 2020, people's use of internet will have enhanced human intelligence as people are allowed unprecedented access to more information, they become smarter and make better choices. Sites like Google allow us to be more creative in approaching problems and more integrative in our thinking. We spend less time trying to recall and more time generating solutions.
Yes, it is true that the internet has made access to information limitless. But does this accessibility necessarily mean that the internet has made us any smarter? Or even further, because it does almost all of the work for us, could it be contributing to a decline of intelligence within society as a whole? In our present day and age, research that once required days of sifting through books and periodicals in the library can now be completed in a matter of minutes. Search engines such as Google and Yahoo have made it possible to know almost anything in the entire world by doing virtually no work at all, simply typing in the search engine box and reading through the thousands of sources matching your request. Consequently, the internet is becoming a universal medium for most of the information that we receive, and so we are spending more and more time online. The media theorist Marshall McLuhan recognized back in the 1960s that media is not just passive channels of information, it actually shapes our process of thought, and recent research has been suggesting that the copious amounts of time we are spending on the internet is actually beginning to affect the way our brains work.
And you cite studies which show that the internet is actually changing the size and shape of our brain.
Right. Something neuroscientists and psychologists have discovered in recent decades is that when we use new technologies, new media, they actually influence the very neural circuitry of our brain. So as we shift our habits of mind and spend more time with our iPhones or with our laptops and stuff, and we're really not only training our brains to think in a very distracted, very superficial way, but these changes are being embedded in the actual biological structure of our brains.
It is hindering our capacity for concentration and contemplation because our minds are now being expected to absorb information the way the internet distributes it, which is in a quick, efficient, and flashy way. In fact, the more we stay online, the more we are training our brains to act in a distracted and jumpy manner. And science actually proposes that we're losing our abilities to slow down, be attentive, and engage in the deeper modes of thinking and reading. One specific study conducted by scholars at the University College London focused on online research study habits, and they found that people online exhibited a form of skimming activity, jumping from one source to another. The subjects rarely read more than 1 or 2 pages before bouncing to the other sites, and the researchers said it seemed as though people went online to avoid reading in the traditional sense. The issue is, as Hans Magnus Enzensberger concluded, the new media are oriented around action, not contemplation. So in other words, people are no longer required to think for themselves. Our complex inner density is evolving under the pressure of information overload and the technology of the instantly available. So, although there has undoubtedly been a shift in the way we think due to the internet, and yes, it might be making us quicker thinkers in some way, it is also making us more shallow thinkers in other ways.
Throughout the year of immense technological growth and virtual expansion being the internet, our culture has developed a dependency on search engines such as Google and Wikipedia for information collection and data storage. The expansion of technological developments in the virtual world has led to the defamation of highly relied on search engines, deeming them unreliable and inaccurate sources of information. Through the bashing of the search engines emerged the assumption that people must be stupid for relying on the internet as their main source of data storage and information gathering. Lawrence Lessig argues that we're all directly responsible for the creation and maintenance of cyberspace, which promotes core values such as freedom of action and speech, anonymity, and privacy. Since individuals are responsible for the maintenance of information found online, then it is not the internet that is making us stupid. Rather, it is at the individual's discretion to judge whether the information is faulty or not. The internet is not a living organism that creates its own information and posts it all online. The web is formed by an infinite number of people that are constantly contributing to the maintenance and expansion of the information found. People can't just sit back and expect the internet to create its information on its own. It is the personal responsibility brought upon the individuals to take on the initiative to constantly add and edit information found online. Lessig agrees that the internet does not take care of itself. He describes that the internet has 4 different regulating factors, being law, social norms, the market, and architecture. An example of a search engine that is constantly being maintained and updated is Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a web-based free encyclopedia which allows individuals to anonymously post and edit information. The benefit of allowing individuals to edit articles is that it's a constant change of information minutely, whether it is adding new information or editing incorrect information. Since Wikipedia is open to the public, there are few weaknesses to the quality of written content. Everyone has the ability to write on the article found on Wikipedia, so the website faces constant threats of vandalism and misinformation. Also, many articles have been written by amateurs, thus some of the information may not be valid or properly written. Nevertheless, even though Wikipedia is not a fully credible source, a journal called Nature has published a study comparing Wikipedia and Britannica. These two are both internet encyclopedias. Britannica is one of the oldest encyclopedias still in print and now found online. The study done by Nature magazine indicated that out of the 2 encyclopedias, they both had errors within the text.
Researchers stated that the Britannica Encyclopedia has different inaccuracies, including errors, omissions, and misleading statements. These inaccuracies show that even though Wikipedia is written by amateurs, the Britannica is written by scholars and is still misleading. So that just proves that different open sites aren't misleading. It's just the way that the people take the content may be misleading.
The internet is beneficial in various ways. Like the printing press that impacted the world significantly, the internet has both its positive and negative aspects. We are given the freedom to access all horizons of information instantly. We are granted the power to contact anyone at any time also. However, with this being said, the internet has proven to be detrimental to our cognitive growth. The information we retain is not necessarily always true. We underestimate our brain's capacity to reason and rely on the internet to think for us. Gutenberg's printing press teaches us that reading books builds a sort of mental discipline that is extremely valuable for our naturally inattentive minds. The internet thrives on and reinforces those tendencies towards inattention. The worry is that the next generation might not have the patience to pull themselves out of the web swamp of distractions, or worse yet, might not even see the point in doing so.